cutting cabbage here. Feels like ending the day. Feels like closure to the dishes. I'm still going to think about what I'm going to do tomorrow. I had a certain amount of ground beef determined, but when I got home I realized I have more. He didn't grade it well, so I have to decide what to do with that extra meat. And as usually there's no freezer space, so I'll have to see how to freeze it so that it doesn't take up too much space. The part that I'm going to freeze, because I bought the meat thinking do one meal once, prep it to be able to do it again, but only do it again later on, either on the week or another week. The reason is, well, there's a lot of variety and I will hardly be able to eat everything within 3 days. And well, even within a week, even if I cook it and freeze it, but it's not the same. It's not the same to eat cooked frozen food than it is to eat fresh cooked food. Although it's nice anyway, it's not the same. The temperature is not the same. It's different. So I'm going to make it like the bento. I'm going to make and freeze, so there's no chance about that. But the bento, well, not the bento itself. Bento is food. It's not. It's a box with food. There's a better translation, I'm sure. There's a better explanation for what it is, but I associate it with a box of food to take with you to eat when you're not home. Although you can eat it at home as well, but it's already cooked. All you have to do is open and eat. Maybe reheat if you want to. But it's the kind of food that can easily be eaten cold. There's no problem in eating cold, which is one of the reasons I like it and find it so good for summer. It's no longer, it's still hot, although not as hot as it used to be. But I can heat the food up if I want to. As for the other things, I have to think. Like, I'm not going to eat beans, Mexican beans every day. I'm not going to eat, what's the name of it? that tortilla wrap every day. I'm not going to eat um, Taco Bell salad every day. I gotta find the balance between what I do, or should I say what I cook on a weekly basis, what I eat on a daily basis, and what I store to be cooked further ahead with the amount of space I have. It's annoying, but maybe it's something I need. Practice a bit of patience with the space I have, develop a bit of creativity to be able to store not everything. I will never be able to have everything, and I'm not talking by everything. I don't have enough space to freeze all the meals for a week, cooked meals for a week, nor enough space to freeze all the raw meat for a week. Neither one nor the other. That's what I mean with everything. Food for a week. I don't have enough space for that. I would like to, but not going to happen so soon, so I have to make do with what I have. And it hasn't been easy. It was easier when I didn't cook because I didn't need it. I mean, having it or not having it wouldn't make a difference. Now that I'm cooking, even though I want to do more, cook more, learn more, go faster, I am restrained because I have to have the storage available in consideration. And so even if I want to go wild and cook gazillion dishes to try a gazillion ways of cooking, I can't because there's no space to keep food. So I have to think. I'm tired of thinking. I mean, sometimes I like thinking. Sometimes it's like, oh god, my brain can't take it anymore. And regarding food, I'm tired of thinking. That's why I started doing, I think it was 2 weeks ago, instead of 2 protein sources, instead of 2 meats and 2 fishes, I started making 1 meat, 2 different dishes with that meat, each dish enough for 2 meals, so that I could have the 4 meals that are supposed to be given by the meat, just by 1 sort of meat instead of 2, because it was getting tiresome to find 2 meals and cook, find 2 recipes and cook 2 recipes for meat and 2 recipes for fish and 2 recipes for beans. It was getting tired. This way I can just do 4 recipes for each. It was 4 times 3, 12. Yeah, no wonder I was tired. So this way I can only do 2 when it's easier. And not only it's easier, as I think I'm getting lazier. I've been trying to find out recipes where I can use the ingredients in a similar way, and then I can freeze them already prepared, just ready to go to the stove, so that I don't have to do anything when I'm ready to cook. Just take them out of the freezer and put it in the stove. I hate this. You think you finish, you look around and there's more. This was today's dinner. This was for the soup I mentioned, the noodle-less soup, and this was the rest of the gimbap. It's a very delicious meal, and it's fulfilling. Maybe it's the algae. I don't know. It does something to you. I mean, I've eaten and I had dessert. I had from the croissants I bought. I've cut them into 3 pieces each, and I had 1 piece with both cream cheese and blueberry jam. So that was dinner. The gimbap, the dessert, and the ramenless soup. But I am. My stomach is like there's no. If I thought of food, my stomach would say, "Don't you dare." I'm not stuffed, but I'm cozy. I'm cozy. It's like it's good enough as it is. Don't send anything else down. And yet, when I think about it, what I ate were 4 rolls of algae and a bowl of liquids. I put a bit of purple cabbage in it, shredded purple cabbage, but still, it looked very little. And I think it was little, although at the same time it was a lot, because each roll had meat. Yeah, I had two gimbap rolls, which had the meat and the spinach and carrots, and 2. What was this? 3. I think it was 3 gimbaps, 3 like these, and 2 that had the tuna and the crab imitation. There wasn't much in any of them, but each one I put in my mouth, as I put it in the mouth and started chewing, it was as if immediately I was starting to get satisfied, which is strange, because usually I start eating and it's delicious and I want to eat more. It's as if most foods open my appetite, and this food, or this sort of food, I wouldn't say suppressed it. I kept eating. I wasn't, oh no, I don't want to eat anymore. But it was like, I was eating, and I was feeling that I was getting fed as I was eating. The only different thing really is the algae. I mean, as an ingredient. Although, the truth is, it is a combination of a lot of proteins. Maybe all those proteins at the same time, each providing different sources of nutrition, because, meat doesn't have the same sort of nutrition as tuna, and tuna doesn't have the same nutrition as crab imitation, and crab imitation doesn't have the same nutrition as what? Was there any other protein source? No, there wasn't. But there was the carrots and there was the spinach, which also played a role in that meal. I know, it puzzles me in a good way, but it puzzles me because it's the sort of food you can undereat and you don't realize you're under eating. I don't know. It's funny. So I'm doing the dishes now. I'm going to take a bath afterwards, and then I'm going to take my pen and pencil, paper and pencil. I'm going to write down what I'm going to do. I'm definitely not going to make the chorizo, because when I do it, I'll put a link below I'll put a link to the videos where I've learned how to do them. I've watched each of the videos I do more times than I would like to admit. And in the chorizo, it's only good to be eaten after 24 hours. It has to stay with the seasonings for 24 hours. So I'm not going to cook tomorrow at this time. Thus, I'm not going to even begin doing it today. But more than that, I have a little problem. Chorizo takes a kind of peppers, dried peppers, that I don't have, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to find where I live. I'll give it a try tomorrow at a store that may have it, although I don't think it will. If it doesn't, I will have to use a substitute, which is supposedly a blend of spices. But, sorry, chorizo is supposed to be freezer stable, fridge stable for I believe a week. Is it a week or is it 3 weeks? I don't know, a few days, she says. By doing it with a different seasoning, and I'm sure the seasoning has to do with the time it lasts. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it last so long. And not being able to make it last so long, I'm not sure if I want to do it at all. Meaning I'll probably just have to freeze the portion of meat that I want to use to make with chorizo and set it aside until I have the ingredients, which I don't know if I can get ever. Another compromise. Okay, I'll give myself another week to find it. If I don't, I will do it with the spices blend, or the blended spices. Not the best, but it's all we can do. I wonder what that is. Weird. In case you're wondering, this pot was popcorns. This frying pan was salmon. And the one below was what I used to make the quart of broth. You know, the one with bouillon cubes. Mine are homemade, but it could be any. I could never bring myself to buy them. Just like, I wanted several times because it's the easiest thing. Just pour them in the water and boom, instant taste. But whenever I looked at the ingredients and the price, like, to pay for poisoning, nah. So I decided to make my own. They're almost finishing. They lasted a long time. It took me a while to start to actually use them properly because, well, I've just started this in June and I had made the bouillon cubes before. I made it vegetable twice, once with too much salt, another with too little, and I made it with chicken as well. So they're almost ending. I will probably have to do it in the next 2 weeks. Or I'll be, no. I still have the vegetable and the salty one. I have quite a bit. It will last me a month. But chicken and the other one are almost ending. It doesn't really matter. I don't honestly notice a difference in flavor between them, meaning I do notice which one are the chicken and which one are the vegetables. Tastes the same. The only difference between them really is the salt, because one of them are really too salty. Really too salty. So I'll use them until I have them, which probably means that I'll have to do them next month. It was relatively easy. The boring part, which is to put them in either parchment paper or aluminium foil. I used aluminium foil. I tried to make it fun. I sat down at the table, put on a video of something I wanted to see, and I was watching it while I was doing it. I guess that's part of the reason why I can't really tell which one are chicken and which one are vegetables, because I think I might have confused myself while I was putting them away, although they should have a different taste and I don't really notice anything. It's actually a pleasant activity on a cold day, a rainy day. It's good that it's only next month, and by next month I mean probably already November, because we are in the end of September. Now usually I don't do the dishes and speak, I just do the dishes and think. Just thinking out loud now. This one and that one was for the salmon. It smells like fish, so I'll do them twice. I know how to wash this in between. YouTube has been suggesting a lot of winter prepping videos. Got a bit jealous because I didn't have the space, the storage space or the freezer space for it. But I've decided I'm going to make my own winter stockpile with canned food. Canned as in beans and beans and what? Tuna and sardines. And I'm also going to buy some rice. And by stock, I wanna have 2 weeks of food stored, so that when winter arrives, all I have to do is go grocery shopping, and I can 1 week eat out of the pantry, another week eat out of the groceries I buy. But in order to do that, I need, so winter starts in December, 21st of December or 20th of December, but I'll consider the beginning of the month. So by then I would like to have already 2 plus 1 plus, so I would like to have 1 month's worth of canned food and rice, and I'm not going to buy just canned food. I want to buy 2 weeks worth of canned food and tuna and sardines, those jars with chili, which are quite scary because I looked at one today and it hardly has any proteins, so I'll probably have to look a little bit more to see if there are any with a higher content of proteins. 1 bag of rice is enough for me for a month, so buy it and put it aside. And what? So that's for 2 weeks. So that's like available to eat food as on demand. Then also until December, I want to keep stockpiling on the same food, so to speak, but not canned. Meaning the beans, buy them dry in order to the beans. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 times as much after cooked, but they sell them in bags which are big enough to provide me with more than what I need for 2 weeks. So just buy 1 bag and I'll be good. So first buy foods in cans. That will give me the available stash. Then buy the foods raw. Well, you need to buy more rice, but I will need to buy more tuna and more sardines and more canned meats, because, well, 1 month is 1 month, but I'll have 2 months to stockpile 1 month. So I can buy half of it each week. Half of it? Oh yeah, well, I'm doing no. While I'm doing the dishes, I'm thinking, but for some reason math doesn't work. Nor math, nor any too elaborate sorts. But I'll in the next 8 to 9 weeks, I'll be on a weekly basis buying something to add to my winter stockpile. So those 2 weeks of canned foods are to stay, like always stay. That's, I don't know, something happens, I don't have food, I'll have those. The food I will be, so buying food every 2 weeks in winter, and the food I'll be eating in the week I'm not buying. I always have to buy food. I mean, I'll always have to buy vegetables. I'll always have to buy fruit. I'll always have to buy those perishables that aren't necessarily fish nor meat. But I won't have to buy fish nor meat, which are the most expensive items we buy. So, regarding food, there are other things that are more expensive in the supermarket than fish and meat, which is ridiculous considering they don't feed as much as that. So 1 week I'll buy everything and I'll eat that. Another week I'll just buy the produce and dairy if required, and I'll eat that with the beans and meat and fish that I have. The meat and fish can, the beans, I'll have to cook them and then do something with them. Funny, when I started this learning how to cook, which I still don't, but I'm starting to feel that how should I say? I'm starting to have some lights about it. I can't say that I know how to yet, but I'm starting to have some lights. Like, some things start making sense, and I start to understand a few things and to be able to apply them to others. So it's improving. But when I started learning, I didn't even know what I could cook. Literally, like, what do I do for lunch? What do I do for dinner? Breakfast, incredibly, was relatively easy, which now isn't because I was on a coffee thing. I had to stop because my sleep wasn't neither peaceful nor much. So I had to stop having coffee. But when I was having coffee as breakfast, it was great. It was really great. Didn't have to think about anything else. Plus, my mind became sharp immediately after having it. Now I'm a bit sluggish all day, mentally. If I eat certain foods, that doesn't happen. But those certain foods, well, they're a bit expensive, so I do it once in a while. I mean, I could do it more often, but when I do get them, I can't resist and I eat them all at once. That's my problem. But the problem initially was, what am I going to cook? I had no idea. Neither what I was going to cook, nor what I was going to eat with what, how, what seasonings made, how, nothing. I had no idea about nothing. Now, so I've been doing a few things, repeating most of them. That's why I don't even post much, because I repeat a lot of food. But I always try to get something new. I always try to learn something. Those are the things I post. Some things aren't even new, but it's like, oh, look, I made it wrong this way for this and that reason. I'll try and make it better next time. And then next time comes along, I show you how I did it. But after cooking for quite some time, and after being exposed, so initially it was just Chinese, Korean, and Japanese food that I wanted. That's what I mentioned in the first video, long format video I have. But then I got exposed to more Indian, and besides curry, more Indian food and Mexican food, and I think it's not. I didn't even think it was the exposure. I mean, I had known about tacos and all those things, but it didn't even. I don't know. For some reason, it didn't click. Then, it was the person who was um, I was exposed to. It was an ordinary person, just someone in a house that has to cook for her family, and and she didn't explain it in. I know. She made it as if we were in the kitchen with her, and she was doing it and telling us how to do. She wasn't expecting us to do it right and properly at the first time, and she wasn't even expecting us to do it at all. She was just doing it, and showing us how to do, which is honestly how we start learning how to cook. We see someone do something, and we see that often enough to get some confidence, and I think I can do that, and try, and probably fail the first time, but not the kind of failure we would have if we hadn't seen it, which would be complete and utterly, and would probably mean the food would have to go to the garbage. Just the kind of fail that it's like, it's not as good as it should be, it's not as well seasoned as it should be, it's not as well cooked as it should be, or it's too cooked or overcooked. It's a different kind of failure. And she was the reason I decided to try making burritos. Oh, that's the name I wanted a few minutes ago. That's the reason I wanted to try to make a burrito. And she's the reason I want to try to make a tortilla. Now, getting to know someone that inspires to do something doesn't mean that person is the best at teaching us whatever it is to learn. They just like spark something. And then we have to look for what really resonates with us, and makes us understand better and do it that way. And I found someone who gets that or gives that to me, so that's the way I'm going to try the tortillas. Actually, it's more than one person, because we're complex beings. I mean, we don't like all the same things nor the same way, and sometimes we need several people to provide us all the things we want, and that's the case of the tortillas. But after being exposed to Mexican food, something clicked in my brain. The amount of dishes with very few ingredients, made in different combinations of amounts, flavors, and how should I say, position, because if it's put one way, it's one thing, if it's put another one, it's another, and the flavor changes as well, absolutely blew my mind. And made me realize it's not just Mexican food. I mean, they mastered that technique. But it made me look at everything, every other kind of food, and through that lens, through the tweeting it a bit, sometimes this way, sometimes that, sometimes with this, sometimes with that. The possibilities of combinations increased exponentially. And last week, my problem wasn't what I'm going to cook, as in I don't know what I'm going to cook, but in I don't know what I'm going to cook because there are so many possibilities. I am overwhelmed with the possibilities, and I believe that's what happens to people who've been cooking for many years when they ask around, what do you want to for dinner? I used to think they didn't knew, which was ridiculous. I mean, how can someone who's been cooking for so long not know what they are cooking? And last week made me realize that they have too many options and it's very difficult for them to choose one. So asking Um, People tell them what they want to eat, and since they know how to do it, they just do it. No thoughts required, much simpler. And that's why I decided to go for the um, bento meal prep this week again. Um, but this time for the whole weekend, it's not just for a few days, because my head is more or less like that. I have too many options, too many things in open. I mean, I could do a week of Mexican food, but I don't want to eat beans every day. I don't want to eat tortillas every day. I don't even want to eat bread every day. So, uh, this balancing act is not only with the freezer, it's also in my mind with the things I have available, and to the expectations I have both for the meals as and for the nutrition. And by with the meals, I mean with the taste. Um, so there's a lot going on in this mind, and it's more tiresome than I would like it to be. Of course, there are people teaching how to cook, and I will eventually, hopefully, be able to do or to learn it that way. But at the moment, it's not possible. So I have to go on with my broken, tired, mismashing uh, way at my rhythm, with my possibilities, and with my tired mind. I wonder. Even though, no, I wanna. Do you remember the triangle video? I'll put it somewhere around here or below. I am not ready for the techniques yet. I mean, everyone's always ready for the techniques. You can learn the techniques at any time. But the thing is, a technique is supposed to give you a result, which is something I'm afraid, because if I don't get the result, it means I will have failed. And to fail this early in my learning to cook might mean that I will give up altogether. And I don't want to give up. I want to continue to learn. So I've been hammering in making sure I had enough food in the house. Okay, now I know how much food I can have, and I know how much food I can make to be able to store without making a mess. Now I'm going to start um, learning a few of the cuisines that I wanted to learn from the beginning, and doing my best at them, so that I can have a variety. And after doing that, because now I have the enough food in the house, after doing the variety, I'll easily, I mean, I already know. I know bibimbap is one of my favorite dishes. I know gimbap is one of my favorite dishes, although I've only done it twice or 3 times, I'm not sure. I know ramen is one of my favorite dishes. Ramen noodle less, without the noodles, is one of my favorite dishes. I know, what else do I know? Well, I always knew rice is one of my favorite dishes. Well, it doesn't matter. What matters is it's going to be easy for me to identify which foods are my favorites, so I can do them over and over again. As you can see, 3 dishes and rice, like 3 dishes isn't enough for me to easily repeat the same things week after week. I need more variety. When I have that, I'm able to more easily learn the techniques and fail at them with no problem, because the techniques, some of them have how to make some of my favorite dishes, like um, steak at the beer house, steak with mushroom sauce, steak with 5 pepper sauce. I love that one. I know some things like that I need the techniques for, and some roasts. I need the techniques for. It's going to be interesting.